Hello there, cat people. Dan the Cat Man and Vance here, along with my illustrious co-host Michelle the Meow Maven,
Hello.
and one of my favorite guests is back live not live on video.
You're not live, please.
Kelly joining us for episode 54. Welcome to episode 54 is Kelly Brach of Professional Pet Trackers.
Hey, guys.
Welcome back. I kept wanting to say Pet Professional Trackers.
It's going to get changed, so
It's my aging brain.
it's too long.
No, I like it.
I mean, you could
We're
like
the Shelter Cats podcast. It's not exactly musical of a title. So first of all, for a background, everybody go listen to episode 26, which was Kelly's first audio only appearance. So we got an awesome background. TLDR, she used to sell overpriced exotic cars, and which I, at my age, am incapable of getting into without needing a crane. And then she got into tracking lost pets. So go listen to episode 26. We won't, if you want a background on how Kelly became the amazing pet tracker that she is. Before we get into like the main topic that you wanted to discuss, Kelly, in the last episode, we had that amazing story of how you found the cat under the Sunrise Highway.
Sneaky Pete.
Sneaky Pete in the sewers. So has there been any like wild stories since in the year and a half we've spoken that stand out?
I mean,
Anything?
yeah, probably. Lots. I don't know. Off the top of my head. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Let me tell you. So the big boy that you saw before, Dino, he had just started working. This is not really amazing to most people, but for me it is because I'm super proud of him because I almost wrote him off as a dud. Glad I didn't. He had worked on a lost dog. Where was I? Oakdale, maybe? I don't remember. Missing for a couple days, not a long time, but it was his first official job. You know, you hear all these like walk up finds and how rare, and they are rare unless you get like a sighting 30 minutes beforehand. Walk up finds are not common because if you think about search dogs that are looking for drugs or bombs. I'm not going to say that's easy because clearly it's not, but their target is not in motion. So they get to simply sit down to indicate a positive or whatever their indication is, whether it's sit, a paw, a lay down, a bark, whatever. But their target's not moving. If you think about a missing child or a senior with dementia, that's when they'll tend to take out their search dogs when they're looking for a missing person. But no 5-year-old or a senior is going to outrun a search dog and a handler. So once again, not that it's easy. I'm sorry, he's digging on the couch right now, but
we love it.
Easy, but it's easier to catch up to a 5-year-old or a 90-year-old, middle-aged. Ugh. Sounds terrible, with a search dog. But then you think about a loose animal and then a human attached to a search dog looking for it. I don't care if you're Flojo. You're not catching a loose dog or a loose cat. You're not catching up to it. So those walk-up finds that are really like no sightings. I haven't had a sighting in at least 24 to 48 hours. That's hard. You have me looking for a dog that went missing and was seen a half an hour ago. I'll walk up on it and find it. That's easy. You're not ahead of me that much, right? You're not going to get a search dog for a missing child that's sitting on a park bench that people keep getting visuals on, right? There's no reason. Right. So Dino, who I wrote off as a dud, ended up showing a lot of interest. And it took me a little bit longer to kind of work it, but it clicked for him. And it took a little while to get that motivation for him and figure out what it was. And I'm so thankful that I did, because his first job was this little King Charles Cavalier named Oreo. And she was stuck in thorns, like, the long fur or whatever.
Ew.
And her owner, he swears he must have walked past her 100 times over. Never made a sound.
Oh, wow.
Dino likes to boop. And what I mean by boop is that he holds a couple lacrosse balls in his mouth, and I toss a third up, and he boops it. with whatever's in his. He's very talented. So he went and he booped this pile of thorns, and I'm like, shit, he doesn't have it. Like he was faking it.
That's funny.
And he came back and he sat down and he looked me dead in the eyes, and I'm like, you're not good, are you? And he's like, lady, let me tell you. And he went back to the same pile and he booped it again, and Oreo's head popped out from underneath the thorns. I was sobbing like a child. I can't. So proud of him. So proud. So he booped it again, and there she was. So
That's
for
great.
me, that's like amazing. It wasn't newsworthy, like Sneaky Pete under Sunrise Highway, but it was a very, very, very proud moment for me
It's a
and
breakthrough, it
for
sounds
my
like. That's
buddy.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Way to go, Dino.
Oh, he just tilted his head.
We
Yeah.
like
So
Dino,
that
and I
was
always
cool.
like you.
That was cool.
He knows
Way
you're
to go,
talking about
Dino.
him. He's like, oh, but me?
Am I on the podcast? That's awesome. Awesome. So you requested to focus on how to find lost.
Well, yes. Okay. So we kind of touched upon this the last time. I want to kind of get people away from these copy and paste, which is so hard, by the way, because the whole world does this copy and paste of what you should or shouldn't do. We need to dehumanize lost pets. They're not people. We need to think like animals instead of like people. Now, what I am going to say is going to sound like a contradiction as to how I got, if you recall, Dan, Tony, that went missing years ago. I had said to you a long time ago that I used his brother's dirty litter in a random quarter mile around my house to try and get him back into that fight mode. I used his brother's dirty litter. It was not his dirty litter. And my cats were indoor outdoor at the time. So it's very different. When you see this copy paste of what people should do if their indoor only cat gets out, for example, put the litter box outside. I assume both of you have heard of the term a pissing contest, right?
Yeah.
So it's a real
I
thing.
dated one for 9 years.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, different topic.
Okay, it's
I
all good.
apologize.
No, don't, please. I've had a few pissing contests myself, as a matter of fact, on a regular basis in animal rescue. So don't
I've
feel
read a
so
few of
bad.
them.
Anyway, pissing contest. It's a real thing, right? It's a form of intimidation for animals. It's a territory thing. You know, I say to people, like, if you came home from work and some dude was on your couch, what would you do? And some people may frown upon what I'm going to say right now, but I would break out the shotgun and release the dogs. That's my house. That's my couch. I'm going to claim it. I'm going to protect it, right? So if you put a litter box outside belonging to a cat that's never peed outside, what are you doing? You're creating a fake pissing contest. So all the other animals that live outside, that's their couch, right? That's their house. So you're basically asking those outdoor cats or those raccoons or whomever to go pee by that litter box to mark it because it's now in their territory. So you're going to basically create a horrific situation for your indoor only cat that just got out. Dehumanize the situation. Think like an animal. Animals claim their territory. It's theirs. So as much as people you'll see, and I see it all the time, and I swear, I mean, in the beginning, when I first started doing this years ago, I would argue with people. No, don't. I gave up because nobody, like, I swear to God, I left the litter box outside and my cat came home the next day. You got lucky. But if you had some lady that lived behind you feeding just a couple strays, that would have been the worst thing that you could have done. Do you know what I'm saying?
It makes sense.
Then we get the people that say, put the litter box outside for your indoor outdoor cat. Does that even make sense? No, because they already pee everywhere. Their scent is everywhere. So it is literally the biggest waste of I guess, suggestion that you could give. And it'll also, depending on where you live, attract predators. We don't want to do that, of course. From my perspective, I work tri-state. We do have some significant predators here, not as much as we do in Connecticut or Westchester. They're still here, but there's a lot of stuff I'll never unsee. Why do we want to make it more difficult for our pet? They're not looking for themselves. They're with themselves. They know what they smell like. Now,
Makes sense.
back to the whole scent aspect of it. We're putting their stuff outside, put their bed outside. It's literally doing the same thing as a litter box. Again, they're not looking for themselves. They're with themselves. What do animals need? If they're domesticated, obviously, if they were our pets, what do they need? That sense of shelter, security, comfort, right? Just like a human, if we're not feeling right, we want to be comforted, right? We want our couch, we want our blankie, whatever. Sorry. Lost pet, cheers, wants to feel comfortable. They're scared for some reason. They're not coming home for some reason. How do we make them feel comfortable? It's not their own smell. It's us. They're humans. Or like Frank and Tony, my cats, they're litter mates, they're brothers, they're a bonded pair. It's someone or something else. It's not themselves. I see all the time, create a scent trail. Create a scent trail. So I created a scent trail. I didn't create a scent trail. I made a perimeter, right? I went as out as I could. It's very, very different. When people say, make a circle of scent around your house, no home is 100% sealed. We open and close doors. We open and close windows. We leave our house. We sit on our front stoop. We sit on our backyards. As gross as this sounds, our dead skin cells fall off of us with every step we take. We have dryer vents. We have air conditioners. All this, our property stinks like us for an animal. Not like for us, because we don't have that sense of smell that they have. But they know where home is. They could smell it. Animals use their nose the way that we use our eyes. A cat can follow their own footsteps right back to that point of escape by odor. Indoor, outdoor cats. I stress this to people on a regular basis. Put a tracking collar on them, something. Sneaky Pete had a tracking collar on, by the way. He did.
That's how you
He
found
wasn't
them.
working because he was on the ground. But, there's usually a reason that they don't come home. None of the reasons are usually good. These cats know their perimeter, their house, right? Their territory. They know it. Putting all these smelly things outside. Most cats, almost every single cat, is a creature of habit, right? They are the definition of a creature of habit. A displaced cat is either in a situation or an environment that they're unfamiliar with. Like Tony, he was stuck in a basement. So no matter what I put outside until he was ready to fight, that's when it happens. Why? Because they're conditional. Everything's on their terms. So when you have indoor, outdoor cats that go missing, shining flashlight, if your cat's hurt and doesn't want to be seen or heard, do you think that flashlight is going to make them feel safe and comfortable or scare the crap out of them?
I was going to scare him, of course.
Thank you.
Good point.
Not to mention the fact, from a safety perspective for the human, what if it's not your cat and it's a raccoon and now you're 5 feet away and this raccoon decides to get pissed off because the eyes are glowing, so you're trying to get closer. Your animal, your cat, is not going to come home if we keep making them more nervous. Shining flashlights, shaking treats, yelling their name, which is everything, by the way, that I was doing when Tony was missing. So again, dehumanizing it, thinking like an animal. If I don't want to be seen or heard as a human, I'm not going to be seen or heard. But think about a cat. They're so much more intelligent than we are. They can literally go undetected a foot away from you.
Yeah.
The flashlight, the yelling, and believe me, again, I was army crawling, bellowing Tony's name. Why do you think he didn't answer? It's It's not because he didn't hear me. We all know I'm not soft spoken. He heard me.
Mhm.
He heard me, but he was displaced. He was in an unfamiliar situation. So when you think about indoor outdoor cats, consider their normal travel pattern. And most of the time, when you start knocking on your neighbor's doors, people will say, I see your cat every day, or I've never seen your cat before. And you can't figure out their travel pattern. Those people that say, I see your cat every day, those are the garages and the sheds that you need to open up and look in because your cat could be stuck in there. Those are the bushes that you need to crawl under and the porches and the decks that you need to look under in the daytime so you could see and you're not shining flashlights in their eyes because your cat could be injured in or underneath any of their things, those properties that your cats usually travel to. Indoor only cats, when they go missing, again, the flashlights, the shaking of treats, none of that is going to make them comfortable. 0.9% of people with indoor only cats that call me never end up needing to hire me. Ever.
Interesting.
Just leave the door open. Whatever door they left from, leave it open.
It
Mm.
sounds like less is more in these
Less with
situations.
indoor only cats, less is 100% more. You could hang all the flyers you want. I will never say flyers don't work. Of course, they're going to help. But if you don't see your indoor only cat, that's probably 2 or 3 houses away, by the way, because they didn't go far.
Mm-hmm.
It is very unlikely, not impossible, but very unlikely that your neighbor's going to see your indoor only cat because that cat is literally tucked in and not moving. Accidentally got out, freaking out, and you've been screaming their name through town of all hours of the day and night, freaking out. So now your cat's freaking out more because you're freaking out. Animals know when we're
Very valid
upset.
point.
Well, it's true. Think about, so we have service dogs that can indicate to a diabetic if their sugar is too high or too low, or a seizure alert dog. This is possible because of odor. It's all scent.
Mm.
They know when we're happy. They know when we're sad. They know when we're angry. They know when we're anxious. They know when we're not feeling well. There are dogs and cats that know when women are pregnant before women know they're pregnant, right? It's all about odor. Again, they see the world with their nose. It's that simple. So when we're army crawling around, freaking out, bellowing their name, what's going to happen? They're going to think that there's something they need to be nervous about because we smell funky. Cats can smell for a couple miles in distance, pending their age and health, of course. Shepherds and Mals, the dogs that I use to work, they could smell up to 12 miles in distance.
My
So you
God.
can think, well, I mean, yeah. I mean, you
Glad
ever
I
see,
shower
like,
twice a day.
I never want to be able to smell as well as a dog can, that's for sure. But like, think about like, you're driving, like if I take one of my Enzo, my OG, right? My favorite, he and my brother are BFFs. So when I'm like 5 miles close to my brother's house, he starts doing the doggy woohoos. Like he knows we're going to see his buddy. He knows it because he could smell it. You see dogs get excited, when they get close to the dog park. It's not because they could read the street sign. It's smell. So when we're looking for an indoor only cat and our stomach is in knots, how do you think they're going to feel? Their stomach's in knots because our stomach's in knots. They're going to resort to feeling like there's something that they need to be nervous about. Because we're nervous, because we're anxious, because we're scared. Our energy, and some people think that sounds so corny, but our energy is the most important thing. It's the most important thing.
A lot of this sounds like you have to almost be a shrink for the people, for the human first
I have
before.
had many of people tell me they owe me co-payments.
You mean you don't take insurance?
No, I don't take insurance. I'm sorry. But in all reality, if I tell so many people, what do you do to decompress? If I have a crummy day, and I'm going to tell you, a lot of people that are going to watch this are going to say, she has said those exact words to me. I come home, I turn on my Van Morrison Pandora station, and I open up a cold Budweiser. I decompress, I breathe. I kind of get myself even again. Because if I'm feeling all right, my cat that's lost is going to feel all right because I don't smell so freaked out. I'll sit on the front stoop. I tell people, you know the door that your cat left from? Yes. Go sit out there, have a glass of wine, smoke a joint, whatever it is, eat a pint of ice cream. A good book, a pint of ice cream, whatever it is, go decompress. Let your cat know everything's okay. And yeah, less is more. Indoor only, I'm telling you, almost every single person that reaches out to me, cat came in while I was sleeping. Go to sleep. Your pheromones are the most calm when you're sleeping. Go to sleep. Cats are not big. You don't need to have the door wide open. A little bit.
It must be so hard to do that though, because you're freaking out. You're
I
you're
know. And I
nervous.
always
You're
say it's
assuming the
easier said
worst.
than done. Yeah.
That must be so hard. It makes a lot of sense because my crew always pick up on when I'm stressed at work or when I'm stressed at this, or my Tucker who's passed out over there. When I was in the death throes of my horrible relationship, he kept rubbing my face.
You know,
Like, dude, just get rid of her. Just break up with her, dude.
I love you. That's all that matters.
Yeah, we don't need her. We could be bachelors. It'll be fine. But it must be so hard for you to get that point across to people at that moment when they're freaking the fuck out.
Yes. And listen, there are some people that I get text messages from at 2 o'clock in the morning. I can't sleep. And I'll give them a call. I'll talk them through it. And it is what it is. It's again, and I use the word on a regular basis. It's dehumanizing it. Like, I know it's easier said than done. I
But
know
the
it.
best, it sounds to me, the best thing to do is to pretend your cat didn't even get out.
Correct.
Just go about your
Fake
business
it till
like
you make
normal.
it, act as if. However you want to put it, that's it. Prop
And
that
they
door
pick,
open, go to sleep. If you have other pets, which a lot of people do, contain them in another room so we're not looking for a bunch of pets, okay?
That was going to be my thing. My question really was like, what do people with multiple pets? I mean, I have two cats, so,
I mean,
and I had a little bit of a scare with one of them a couple weeks ago. Turned out
please
she
don't
was
call
inside the
me,
whole time.
okay?
What?
Don't call me, okay?
we'll call you whenever we want.
You're more than welcome to. You can be that 2 a.m. call that I pick up.
That's the 1 hour I'm usually sleeping, but I thank you.
No, but it is. You contain the other animals, plural or singular, whatever, because first of all, you also have to remember if they are bonded, you don't want to sacrifice one for the other.
Right.
Because if there's listen, some of my dogs hate each other. I have only 2 out right now out of 5. I rotate them on a regular basis because not all siblings get along, right? And
A good
dogs not
point.
getting along is definitely worse than humans not getting along. So I
That
wrote,
didn't occur to me. Yeah.
wait, what?
That didn't occur to me that while on a job they may be bickering.
On a job. How about in the house? Yeah.
That
That's the
makes sense.
worst.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
on
yeah.
a job, they're better together because they're all business when they're working. But when they're
Okay.
home, relaxing and playing, and somebody's got the antler that the other one wants, and things happen. But if they're bonded, I had to keep Frank inside while Tony was missing because I knew. Not that I tried following Frank around when Tony was missing, and like I didn't know how to talk to my cat. Like I could talk to my dogs. Like I know what they're saying when they're looking for something, but I didn't want to sacrifice one for the other. Like, what if Frank went to wherever Tony was and then didn't come back? Like when Tony was missing, we had 4 nor'easters in a row. I thought Tony was like crushed underneath a tree. I don't mean to be so graphic, but
Yeah,
like
you assume the worst.
snow, like you don't. So I'm like, I'm not going to lose both of them. Like, so you got to contain the other ones. I don't care if the dog won't leave the house, contain the dog if your cat's out because the dog may leave the house if he senses your cat being in distress. We're not them, we're not the animals, so we don't know what they're going to do. People forget that also. I have so many people that tell me my dog or cat would never. And that's exactly what they did. Or I always get that, and I hate it. I hate it with indoor outdoor cats. Oh, but he always comes in around 5:30, 6 o'clock for dinner. My response in my head is until he doesn't. Until he doesn't. And that's why you're
Good
calling
point.
me, which is terrible. And it's devastating because I've been there. I get it until he doesn't. My cats are indoor only now. Sorry, guys. And you know what? It is a struggle internally for me. Is it quality or quantity of life? My cats are not happy now because they got a taste of it. Am I being selfish? It is literally something I struggle with regularly. I think I'm being a little selfish, but I'm also looking out for their well-being. So
Your cats were indoor outdoor for
they
a
used
while,
to
and then
be,
you.
yeah, for a long time. That's so one of my two cats was missing for 3 weeks,
Okay,
which
that's
is
tough.
how why I left very high-end automotive industry and purchased my first search dog, and now I'm up to 5. It was such a peaceful, quiet life. Like, I had a pretty car. I didn't have tumbleweeds all over my house. And worth every lint roller. That's all I have to say.
It's worth every lit. That should be like your sub heading under your slogan. Thank you. Jeez,
You're
that
welcome.
should be worth every lit.
Worth every lit
If you
roll.
don't use it, we might use it as
You can
for our
use it.
show,
I
There
give
you
it to
go.
you.
because Michelle and I have toyed with changing the title because we're branching into we're
Well,
talking
that's
to.
what I've been dealing with. Like, I'm just like, ugh, all this, like, I just want to, whatever, make it simple. Like, just call this person. That's me. you know?
Yeah, Kelly the Tracker.
Yeah, I mean,
It sounds like isn't that a show?
oh my God, it's such a good show. And this is another thing I tell people all the
Sorry, I
time,
didn't even
by
know.
the way. Tracker is such a loosely used term, and I hate it. I hate it. It's one of the reasons I want to change the business name because it's stupid.
Kelly the Finder.
No, like it's literally,
Kelly the Bounty Hunter. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
no, it's just called Kelly, but like tracking, yes, it's just search dogs. That's it. It's search dogs.
But there's a lot of nuances to it. All the points you made didn't occur to me.
Right. And that's all not using search dogs, by the way.
I've had, knock on desk. I've had the good fortune. I think I told you in the last episode, 2 of my cats have gotten out. Both of them got as far as the bush outside my front door and said, "To hell with this shit," and came right back in.
Right.
Literally, both my Tyler and my Jackson were like, "What the hell was I thinking? This sucks,"
Yeah,
and
it's
ran
not
right back in
fun.
and apologized to me. I'll never do that again. I'm
You
so
got
sorry.
lucky.
But I've had friends. I think I've even talked to you about 1 or 2 of them, where they literally never saw them again because they didn't follow your panic and they put things out and they put beds. It wouldn't occur to me, just go about your business like normal, and they pick up the scent of your vibe. It sounds
That's
like.
literally the most, I swear, I can't stress that enough. I can't. Even when I'm working my dogs with a lost pet owner, I speak to them the night prior to our contracted search day, right? And before I go to bed very early because I'm up very early. I'm up very early with the dogs. So I shut down at like 20 minutes, 45 minutes from now. I'm early.
Okay.
I wish.
No. It's all good. I'm just saying, I go to sleep early. But
I think
before I
that
go
was a
to
hint,
sleep,
Michelle.
wait,
We'll
what?
wrap it up soon, Kelly.
No, it's all good.
That's Michelle's way of saying. That's Kelly's way of saying.
Thank you.
As she
I
guzzles her
tell people
beer.
just go to sleep. You need to have at least a rested brain. Because if you're going to be with me and we're getting close to your lost pet and you're a ball of anxiety, how helpful is that going to be?
Yeah.
And again,
Yeah.
it's easier said than done, right? It is. I get it because I've been there, so I understand. It's so important, especially with indoor only cats. They're usually, pun intended, right underneath your nose. Right
Yeah,
there.
literally, Vance was when we started.
Yeah.
But they are. They don't go far.
And it's just it's a dumb question that you probably can't answer. I think I asked this the last time. Is there like, the greatest hits as to how they get out in the first place? Is this just, the how did my door open for a second? Is there something you
I
hear
mean,
all the
there's a
time?
million
How they
possibilities. A million possibilities. I had my grandchildren over and they were holding the cat by its tail and it finally got tired of it, so it bolted out the door. Or there were fireworks going off because it was New Year's, July 4th, Memorial Day, Labor Day. I don't know, Mother's Day. I feel like people are popping off fireworks on a regular basis now. And I
They are.
opened up the door just at the wrong moment. Or I was bringing groceries in and my cat slipped through my legs. I mean, I
That's
thought
what
my kid closed the door. I thought, whatever. Like, there's too many. There's too many reasons.
Delilah, before I got her, she was a bit of a rescue. So she was kind of found. I guess she was like an indoor outdoor cat at the time from her previous wherever she lived
So
before
she
me.
had a human beforehand.
She had a human before me,
Okay.
and but somebody had kept finding her on the street in like sub-zero temperature, and eventually the home just never wanted to take her back, and it became this whole thing. So I wound up getting her, and she's a beautiful cat and I love her. So I like the first probably year that I had her,
Mhm.
I'm like, she is an escape artist. She used to skip out all the time, and she would be very good. Like she would actually, if I just held my hand outside and shook the treats, like I know you said, don't shake the treats, but if I did that, she would come running
But
because
that's different. She's
she's
used
a
to
porker.
being outside. Like you were saying,
Yeah.
she was an indoor outdoor cat
Yep.
beforehand. So
Yep.
if she's not stuck or injured somewhere, doing that is something that she was probably used to even before you.
Yeah, yeah. So she was great, but then I'll tell you, after I've had her, I guess it's like 6 years now, something like that. Maybe, yeah, maybe 6 years. She has not tried to escape really once, like in the past 4 years or so. After like that first year and a half, she stopped trying to like slip out. But I had a scare a couple weeks ago. I'm kind of like temporarily housing some cats for a friend of mine in my basement.
Some cats?
Four.
Oi. Okay.
Long story.
Oh my
just
god.
just a few.
Just
But they're still down there. But anyway, the first night that they were here, we wanted to keep them separate. The reason they're in my basement is because I can close the door and keep them down there and my
right.
two upstairs, so they're not gonna, um,
Freak
it's right.
out.
I had when we were bringing in the first of his cats into the basement. I said, before we release her, I said, let me go and make sure that my cats are where they're supposed to be. So I come upstairs, I find my kitten, she's fine, she's hiding behind the couch where she's supposed to be, can't find the other one. I'm like, I tell my friend, I'm like, let's release these guys in the basement, I'll figure out Delilah. Hours later, can't find her. Can't find she's now again, she's a porker. She's still, no matter, I can't even, like, even if I have like potato chips that vaguely sound like cat treats, she comes
That
running.
little crinkle,
Anything.
right?
Any crinkle, anything that sounds like it's shaking, it could be a baby rattle, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, she's running. So I'm in the basement shaking the treats, nothing, no sound, no nothing. I'm outside, inside, outside for hours. I actually did go. I went at one point. I wound up just sitting on my front porch. It's 4:30 in the morning. I'm sitting on my front porch playing solitaire on my phone, just waiting for this.
You know what?
Waiting
I
for
would have
her.
told you to do that. That was smart. I'm just saying.
Right. So that's, I'm like, let me sit here. She'll come to me. If she gets hungry enough, she'll come. Every so often I would shake the treats, but she never came. 4:30 in the morning, I'm like, I have to get some sleep. So I did exactly. I come in, I'm like, it's cold out, but it's not freezing. She'll be okay for a few hours. Let me get up. Let me get a couple hours sleep. I get up the next morning. I go downstairs to check on the cats that my friend dropped off. And again, to see if she's still down there, shake treats, no sign of her. I see the two cats he dropped off, no sign of her. I turn and the little son of a bitch is standing at the top of my stairs. She was in my basement the entire time.
Oh my god.
The entire time. And I was like,
That's a
where?
little funny.
I couldn't. I'm like, she never, the amount of times I shook treats, like at the top of the stairs or down the basement, wouldn't come.
That's
And
a
I guess
little
finally by
funny.
the next
I'm not
morning,
gonna
she was,
lie.
I
It's a
couldn't
little
believe
funny.
it. But I was so grateful she wasn't outside because then that would be a whole nother thing I would have to deal with. I'm like, well, at least she was inside. She
At
was
least she
warm
was
all night.
inside. She was warm. She was okay. She was in the basement with the stranger cats.
Yeah. It
And
was
you
just
didn't hear any scuffling?
nothing.
Damn.
Not a thing. Not a
Wow.
meow, not a hiss, not a tussle, not a purr, nothing.
Impressive.
Yeah. By the way, these cats have been in my basement. It's about 4 weeks now, and the entire time they've been down there, I have hardly heard anything out of all four of them. So it's
Wow.
it's I don't know. That's
They're
just
happy
crazy.
there, hint, hint.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
you may
I
have
don't know
friendly
about that.
cats, I think, maybe.
You can open a shelter in your basement.
I would have
The
to
shelter
close off
cat shelter. Just
the
saying.
shelter.
I
Yeah, I know.
mean, I'm
I'd have
sure
to
I could
close off
find
a
a few
few
more for
areas.
you if you need.
Yeah, we'll fill that up in no time between all the other rescues around here.
Nice and easy.
I don't think
That's
I have
not a
thought
problem.
about converting it to like a foster area, but I have to. It's opened, but like where they are right now, it's not closed. Like my basement is kind of like it's a finished basement, but it's kind of like open. There's no real rooms to close
Right.
anything off in,
We
so
could
they
put
can
a
get
lot of
in there.
kennels in something like that. I'm just
I
saying.
know. Well, that's what they're in now, right? They're in large crates right now. But then, like some of the rafters are open to the ceiling. They had
Right.
gotten
Oh, they
they
can get in there.
and they were. And they were, and that's part of why they're still here. They were supposed to be gone 2 weeks ago, whatever. It's a whole long story. But yeah. So anyway,
I
she
get
was in the
it.
basement the whole time.
I'm glad she was in the house.
I couldn't believe it. I just shook my head. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
You're better off because sometimes, like, if you've got a multiple cat household and an indoor only cat gets out, when they come back in, there's like a battle because they
Yeah.
smell funky. So the other cats don't like the way that they smell, and you have to like, it's very bizarre. I didn't have that problem, thankfully, because again, they were indoor, outdoor, whatever. But I've had so many people say, but my other cat is pissed off. I'm like, just give him some time.
Yeah.
My first cat, Tyler, anytime he went to the vet, especially as he got older, he came home like Cujo. He was like, and he was like the Frank Sinatra of cats. He was very cool and everybody was intimidated by him.
Did
But
he
the
wear a
older he
little
got
fedora?
and the sicker he got, if he came home
The
from the
fedora.
vet, he was a raving lunatic
That's
for like the first
understandable,
day.
though.
And like you said, it's the smell.
Yeah.
And I think, we we have a resident cat expert now who works at ACC, and he said the same thing you said. He said, don't, because I used to say he was embarrassed that he had to go to the vet.
No.
And Stephen, our behavior expert, always says, don't put your human assumptions on the cat.
Right.
Like you said, don't,
Dehumanize it.
dehumanize if they get out. Don't, because you think they're pissed or they're jealous, you're putting your emotions into the situation,
Yeah.
and more often than not, you're wrong.
You're wrong. Always. Almost always. Okay. It's
I
crazy.
know. Same
Yeah.
person I
He
dated
was
for 9 years
probably
told me that a lot.
freaking out because of all of the freaked out animal pheromones in the vet's office that he could smell.
Oh, yeah.
And
Feeding
again, like
off
you
of all
said, by
that.
the next day, it was
Right.
like, was I mad yesterday? Did I
Yeah, but
say
you know
anything?
what? Animals are very, and I still have to remind myself of this literally 2 weeks ago. Not even 2 weeks ago. I had to remind myself of this because I have PTSD from a situation.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. But we have to remember animals, something happens today, they're over it the next day. Where we are still like, did that just happen? Oh my God, I can't believe, like freaking out. And
It's what I am jealous of cats the
oh my God,
most,
me
is
too.
that
Me
very
too.
point. I wish I had that ability.
I had Enzo in the emergency vet the Sunday that it snowed. Okay, if he had to pick that day, okay, where I was literally
Of course.
driving like a bat out of hell. Had an antler stuck in his throat.
Oh my God! Like swallowed
In his
it.
throat. In his throat.
Oh my God.
Oh,
He
oh my
couldn't
God!
breathe.
Enzo.
He couldn't
Wow.
breathe. He could get in, so he was filling up with air. He was close to going bloat, which is like with shepherds,
Wow.
it's very common. Their stomach flips, and it's a very, very painful and irreversible, basically death.
Oh my God.
So he can't breathe out, but he can breathe in, and he's choking and filling up with air. I literally, like, I have the chills telling you about it right now, and he could give a shit that this happened a week and a half ago.
And he's
Caroline,
okay.
he's fine. Oh,
How did he get the antlers? If I may ask, how did he get the antlers stuck
they're
in?
all over my floor. Deer antlers, elk antlers. They're fantastic for the dogs to chew on.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Mom missed a small one while I was vacuuming. I found a small one under the couch. I usually throw them out when they get to a certain size. And because I was like fixated on all the tumbleweeds that I was getting in and out, and I threw it on the coffee table, and he got it. And he was, yep, yeah. PTSD, and they forget they're at the vet the day before and they're just fine, even though they came out like a bat out of hell when they got home. I get it. They
Yeah,
literally, they're in the moment, and that's it. Like people say all
that's
the time, oh my God, my cat walked in the door and like nothing happened. The
Yeah.
people that I tell you, the indoor only cat owners that call me freaking out, which is totally understandable, by the way, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll get a text or a call, or 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever. My God, my cat just came home, started making biscuits on me in bed while I was sleeping like nothing happened. Because to them, nothing happened. To us, we're completely traumatized for the rest of our lives over this incident, but to them, nothing happened. They're over it already.
so my question is, and this I don't know if this could even be answered. So, point one, you'll never 100% be able to prevent a cat from getting out.
No,
Number two, if your indoor cat gets out, don't freak out, pretend nothing happened. And
breathe.
more often than not, if you just go about your business, don't spread, used cat shit all over the outside. More
Jeez.
often than not, they'll come back of their
God.
own free will. So let's assume, cracked open a pack of Luckies and a beer, you sat out there, you watched the movie, and the cat comes back like, does that increase the chances of the cat wanting to get out again? Because
Not
you
likely.
were cool. You were cool when they came back. It's like, well, if you don't mind, I'm going to do this again. Is that a dumb
Not
question?
likely, but that's all personality. Like, if your kid gets arrested and gets the shit scared out of him, is it likely he's going to get arrested again? I don't know. Who's your kid?
Very true.
Do you know what I'm saying? Your friend gets into God forbid, a car accident. Is it likely it's going to happen again? I don't know. Are they a shitty driver? There's just like people, every single animal is different. Some go out and freak out and never want to touch the ground again. Some are like, yo, that was a lot of fun. I want to get out there again.
Yep.
And everything in between. They're all different,
I
just like
guess the
people,
like you can't prevent it. You just have to. You have to. You have to talk them down
Listen, it's
more
caution.
more than
It's
anything. It
just
sounds like
caution. You got to think like a 4-year-old. That's
I
it.
often do.
Yeah, me too. Trust me. I always say I'm this many.
Michelle could attest to that on a daily basis.
I would say at least 5, maybe 6, Dan. I wouldn't go.
5,
You're
6,
so
yeah.
generous. Thank you.
You're a big boy, Dan.
I'm a 51-year-old child.
I am I'm going to say 38 because I'm not going to disclose my real age-year-old child as well.
You don't look a day over 35.
This is
Say hi.
That's Munch.
That's
That's the
JJ.
kitten.
That's my baby.
Dino, do you want to come and snuggle and knock over my laptop?
Dino. Come on, Dino.
Come here, buddy. Come on. Come on
We
up.
need a dog
Come
on
here.
the podcast.
Come here. Hey. He's like, nah, man, I'm good. I already gave you a show.
No,
Out.
these are very, very good points. And like you said, easier said than done, but you just have to take the human out of it, take the
You just
you out
have
of
to
it,
breathe. You
and think
can't
like them.
personalize it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
How
I
often do they
know,
come back?
I'm going to say 9.5 out of 10 people that call me never ends up calling for further advice and just let me know that their cat's home. The other half of whatever percentage I just gave you, I have no idea, Most of them come home. I would seriously say like a 0.1 out of 10 people that call me actually need me to come and use my dogs. Very rare. If they're patient. What people think also is that it's going to be instant gratification. What in life is instant gratification? Nothing. Shit, I'd be retired. Come on. We all would be.
And then what do you do with dogs? I know this might sound like a stupid question. So what do you do? They like do they smell? They use like scent to track them. So like they smell something of the cats,
Yeah, the
and
same
then they
thing that
go and
you
look.
see like in the movies or whatever, like a missing child. They give the search dog a sweater. So I give my dogs a bed, a blanket, a toy, whatever. You have a multiple pet household. I need the other pets present because, again, the
Yeah,
dogs or any animal uses their nose the way that we use our eyes.
right,
So they need to know every odor that's present so they can decipher that missing odor. I mean, I found a cat once that got out. They were all indoor only, but this woman waited a solid 2 weeks. We waited patiently because different circumstances. It's a 13 cat household. And this woman had all of her cats in carriers for me because there was no such thing as an uncontaminated scent article.
right.
Jane, I'm talking about you and Keaton right now. 13 cats. And
Yeah,
Enzo nailed this. Like, I can't even begin to tell you. But everybody else was there. So it's, again, if I show you a photograph of 13 cats, right? And I tell you one of them is missing, but I don't decipher for you which one that is, you're going to be
right,
looking for 13 different cats.
right, right,
But if I have everybody else present and the dog can be like, all right, I got all those odors. Now I know which one is missing. Their nose, our eyes. It's the
right.
same thing.
And then what happens? So when the dog finds it, like I know you said with the one that was in the thorns, but the dog was obviously trapped in the thorns.
Thank God.
Yeah, I know. Well, so so that's my next question. So like what happens like if the
Very
dog
rare does an animal sit there and wave a white flag.
right. So do they I would assume they run. I
It
would assume
depends
they
on the circumstance. It depends on the
yeah,
situation. Some need to be trapped. Some I will literally just walk back to the car and I will leave an owner planted somewhere and just wait patiently and try and coax the dog or the cat. I've left cat owners, dog owners, in a small pocket of houses because my dogs are circling these 3 houses, and any animal can evade us if they want to. Again, remember what I was saying before about the drugs or the bombs, easy, non moving targets in comparison to a moving target. It's the same thing. So if I'm walking in circles with my dog, it's because your lost pet is walking in circles. And a cat, especially, but any animal, if they want to go undetected, they can be. They could be 50 feet ahead of us and we're not going to see them or hear them. People forget that. They can go undetected very easily. So it depends on the situation, and every single one is different. There are some that, I'll never forget a job in Connecticut, and it was recent. It was this past year where I had a couple dogs working on this recently rescued dog. And I'm working my dogs and I'm working my dogs. And I have a handful of friends in Connecticut that I do jobs with that are volunteers. So it's easier. Like, I can't sit there and set up a trap because it's 2.5 hours away from me, but they can. And I'm putting the dogs in the car. I'm getting them their water. I'm taking their harnesses off. We're going to set up a trap because I can't get a visual on this dog. And she runs right past us. And I'm like, there she goes.
the bitches.
So every situation is different,
They really make you work for it.
Some of them are just like, fuck you, bitch.
I feel like this is the Shelter Cats podcast happy hour.
I happen to like this happy hour. We should do this weekly.
There's our new name, Michelle.
There you go.
The Shelter
That
Cats
is
podcast.
actually a really good name. Just saying.
We're interviewing a few more non-cat related people.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
trying to vary because there's a lot of I don't know if competition is the right term, but there's other cat podcasts. My interests meander a lot as I get older.
As your
So
mine.
I'm like, do you have a cat? You had a cat in 1976? You'll be on the show.
You're
It's
on.
kind of like that. You know what I mean?
Have you seen cats before? Okay, good.
Do you know what a cat is?
Wait,
We'll
do
have
you
you on the
know
show.
what a cat is?
Have you listened to a podcast? You could be on the show. So we're trying to, so this just gives me that, we're all like, we have our beverages
It works though.
but that's kind of where the show's gone. We talk about important things, but we could laugh along the way.
I think, listen to me, it's if we're not comfortable, then we're not speaking out of experience and knowledge, right? If we're all tight, nervous, or whatever, like this, I would like to be able to help people without having to help people. And if that means I get to have a few beers with you guys here and there and talking, I'm
Of
down.
course.
But it's helpful. You could always turn, and I said this to you the last time we spoke, I turned a horrific situation, right, into something extremely positive that has helped so many people. So if we could turn an educational conversation between the three of us into something that's light and a little funny here and there, there's nothing wrong with that in my book.
Nope.
Only here and there.
Just a little bit here and there. A little bit
I
of
must
humor
be
here and
slipping.
there.
I'm not. I must be slipping.
I think we need to bring shots into it. No, I'm just kidding. Kidding.
Every
time somebody says cat, just
Kelly, next time we have you on, I need to go like to the liquor store and do some shopping first.
Me too.
I'm not
Me too.
prepared. I'm not prepared. So, moral of the story: it's going to happen. Take you out of the situation.
Take me out of the
Be
situation.
cool. Go about your business.
Just breathe.
Try to project
Be
normalcy.
Normal, yes.
And you said more often than not, they're just going to come back because they're smelling your fear and your nervousness.
Well,
Am I correct?
Yes, they're just every cat. How many cats do you know that sit,
Too many.
roll over, give paw, lay down when they don't? I mean, I have one of my cats fetch, but that's because he likes to. It's not because I'm asking him to, okay? If I asked him to, he'd probably flip me the bird also. But it's on their terms. It's not ours, right? It's when they're comfortable, when they feel like it's the right time, whether it's waking you up or coming back in after they accidentally escaped. It's going to be when they want to. And you could hire me 100 times over. It doesn't mean they're going to come back because I said so. It's going to be when they want to. So just breathe. Have a little bit of faith. And one thing I, also stress to people is before we domesticated them, they actually did okay on their own.
Yeah.
They're not going to freeze.
Yep.
They have on a fur coat. Yes, they may not have on their winter coat if they're indoor only, but they're still in a fur coat. They're still warm, and they have a very resourceful about them. They could find shelter. They could find warmth up against the house where the oil burner is, for example, underneath the deck. They are resourceful. I say on a regular basis, how smart are my dogs? Think about this and think about how I'm going to say it's going to sound really arrogant, and I don't mean it that way. My dogs are so smart, they pay my mortgage. They pay every bill that comes into this house. That's pretty fucking smart. But dogs are dumb in comparison to cats when it comes to survival.
Yeah. Yep.
You heard
Think
it here,
about what
folks.
I just said. My dogs feed me. They buy my Budweiser, but they're dumb in comparison to cats.
Now I'm picturing your dog at a liquor store, like with a
Showing his
six-pack, loading the six-pack on the counter.
Wait, didn't you
Is that for Kelly?
Eleanor?
Woof.
You remember you pictured Eleanor at a desk at like the detectives, like
I know. I said that the last time.
the visuals you get are
I
great.
pictured like the 40s detective agency where they're all like lab coats,
Dick Tracy.
woof, 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 woof.
But it's so true though. It's I always use the example, like I love dogs. I grew up with all kinds of animals, cats, dogs, everything. But I have not had any dogs in my adult life because my life has just been too busy.
Okay.
I can't take care of a dog. I can't
That's
keep that
fair.
schedule. I can't be home all the time, and it's not fair to the dog. It's not
Thank
fair to
God you're
me.
smart enough to acknowledge that.
Well, that's why I have cats, because I call them the set it and forget it of animals, because cats, I have gone, and for better or worse, you can set a cat up for 2 or 3 days,
You're not wrong.
and you can leave, and you can come back, and the cat is no worse off than they were when you left.
You're
They
not
did
wrong.
not eat their food the entire time. They pooped and peed in the box like they were oh, hello. They pooped and peed in the box like they were supposed to. They still have water left. They still, so they're okay for a couple of days. Beyond that, you really don't want to, because you want them to keep the interaction, but like they
They're very
just that alone,
independent. They're
they're very
fine.
independent, and just they know how to survive. Let's
But
just to go
that's
back
what
to
I'm
like what you were
saying.
saying.
Like,
Yep.
we forget how capable they are.
Yep.
They're
Yep.
so, thank you. It's something that, like, I myself, now granted, Tony was not eating or drinking when he was missing because he didn't have a food source, right? He wasn't outside. He was in a basement. So did he find a cricket or a mouse in that almost 3 weeks? I don't know. He's not going to tell me. Did he find a leaky pipe like that was dripping water once in a blue moon? I don't know. He's not going to tell me. His tummy was very flat. He was very skinny. He was very hungry, but he's fine.
You
Yeah.
said 2 weeks, right?
Almost like 2.5 weeks, like 2.5
Wow.
weeks, I think. I don't remember the exact dates, but it was somewhere in there. But he was fine. I mean, again, he was hungry.
Yeah.
He was fine. And this is an animal that was stuck, somewhere. You getting mauled over there?
I am. It's got little kitten claws that have been digging into my thigh.
And this guy was a colony cat, as you could tell,
Yeah.
because he's got the
And he
tip here.
looks very,
He was a
very
Valley
feral.
Stream colony cat. He was bullied. He was chased.
Oh, he knows the
The
good life.
feeders had to feed him separately because the other cats would chase him away. And literally from the day he got here, he's been like this.
He now knows the good life.
We don't get to see his face that often. Look at his
Very
little
handsome.
face.
Frank
He
is a
is just,
ginger. I have one of
he is,
those.
and he's jealous as hell. If I'm with, and again, our behavior expert said it's not jealousy. It's just he has a problem sharing resources, which just sounds like a PR version of he's jealous to me,
Of
but I
jealousy.
digress.
They just have a different mindset. Like
You know,
people say, like with I have a German Shepherd or I have a Belgian Malinois, and when I go to work, he eats my couch. What do you think is going to happen? They're mad. They're being resentful. They don't even know what that word means.
Right.
They're
Right.
bored. They're bored. You have a high drive working dog on the couch for 10 hours. I'm surprised you have walls still, okay? But truth,
and
like
there's nothing on TV for them.
it's a different word. Like people say, oh, they're doing it. He's being malicious. He's doing it on purpose. He's resentful. Oh, man, they're just bored. They're not jealous. Cats are not jealous. It's different. It's just a different way. Like he's being an alpha. He's taking control, not over you, but over the other cats. He's the boss and you're his. Sorry. You're his.
Now he has no interest in going out, and I brought in groceries. I have my Penelope. She was on the streets in my yard for 3 years before I was able to get her inside
Mm-hmm.
because she got. We'll be right back after these messages. I have to pause.
Okay.
I'm pausing the show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the podcast. Did you miss us? So anyway, he has no interest in leaving ever, and I've had I brought in groceries, no problem. My Penelope, so this is kind of a question. He was brought from Valley Stream, so that's way
Far.
south of where I am. Penelope was on the streets for 3.5 years until she showed up with a chicken bone in her mouth 2 Thanksgivings ago, and that was finally my opportunity because she sat by my back door, literally asking me for help. I
Needed
rushed her
help.
to the vet,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
but I'm so terrified she's gonna get out. Every time I open the door, I confine her to my bedroom.
Okay. She shows interest in wanting to go out.
So I'm gonna humanize this. I don't know if she knows if she's in the same area.
Probably
I'm going to
does.
tell you my I'm
No,
going to tell you my thinking.
I mean, she's got to. She's got to. Again, it's odor. There are other animals that lived out there with her. And again, no home is 100% sealed. So as much as our odor goes outside, like, have you ever opened up your front door and been like, who is cooking that steak?
Sometimes, usually
Or
they are
or
upstairs.
sauce or whatever. You smell like somebody's food, right? You smell bacon. Someone's making bacon. You're like, you open that door, that scent can kind of, like now I'm hungry. So
So
the
that's an
smell
example of
she
humanizing it.
knew. Huh?
So that's an example of humanizing it,
Right.
basically.
So like she
Okay, good.
knows that those smells that were outside already. Now I use food like bacon or whatever because animals can smell way better than we can. So we need
Right. Makes
something
sense.
real strong to know that there's something going on. But she knows that she used to walk around out there. How long ago did you bring her in?
November of 23. So a year and a couple months.
So here's the
Yeah.
She
thing.
hasn't gone to the door once. She's very skittish, and she basically lives in my bedroom. She's starting to come to my office because I work from home, and she'll come in the kitchen when it's food time.
Mm-hmm.
But she's extremely skittish, so she spends like 90% of her time in the bedroom. She doesn't go to the door at all. She never once sat by the door. She doesn't, it's just not something
So
she's
why are you
aware of
so
or interested in.
nervous?
I guess my question is, can they forget about being outside after a certain time?
I mean, can they forget about being outside? I mean, my cats haven't. I think it's an individual thing.
Yeah.
I think it's an individual thing. Some of them, like, listen, she knows she's got the good life now. Like, is it possible that she wants to go back out there? I mean, do you want to go back outside after you've been homeless? Like, we can humanize it a little bit, right? Like,
I
oh,
never leave for
you took
days
me
sometimes.
in,
Yeah.
like I was sleeping in a garbage bag beforehand. Like, it depends. Like, I've had to tackle my cats to this day, and they've been indoor only. I've been in this house for almost 6 years. So they've been indoor only for 6 years and they still try. Now, cats, dogs, animals in general have like a 2-year scent memory. So that's the only thing humans actually beat animals with when it comes to scent. Have you ever been in a diner and you're like, oh my God, I smell that old lady perfume or that older man cologne? And it reminds me of my grandma or my grandpa or my, second great aunt, whatever. That scent memory we have, it could last forever.
It's apparently what I believe that in humans that's apparently one of the largest triggers of memories.
It is.
Although we think it's sound or we think it's
No,
sight, it's not.
it's
It's
scent.
scent.
It is scent
Which is
memory. And
crazy.
that's what I was saying. It is literally the only thing we outdo animals with regarding
Very interesting.
scent.
Yeah.
Is
Didn't
scent
occur to me.
memory, because animals don't, after approximately 2 years, it's not exact, okay, but approximately 2 years, they could care less. I have dogs. I had a couple litters in my house. No, I'm not a backyard breeder for the haters, okay.
Somebody's heading off the Facebook comment.
Okay, so I've had a couple litters here, and the first litter I had, only two of those dogs, one being one of mine and another that's with a friend of mine, have seen each other since. They just turned 5. They're not going to know that they're related. That scent memory is gone. Like, they could care less. The second litter, very small litter, and a couple of them have seen each other regularly. So they know that they're siblings.
Right.
If I go a couple of years, again, not everything is exactly the same. It can change a little bit. Like, they may remember each other and, after 3 years or whatever, like, it's not exact. It's an approximate thing, but we can have that scent memory forever. So will she know that she was outdoor there at your house? Maybe not in another couple of years, because that scent memory is going to go away. But will that desire to go outside go away? That has more to do with the individual cat.
Very interesting. Yeah, I'm glad I asked.
I'm just thinking the timing seems to line up with what I told you about Delilah. So she was an indoor outdoor. I had her for about a year and a half, year two. I'm not sure exactly when, but after about a year and a half, she stopped trying to escape. And now she really doesn't. Like I see when I come up, when I approach the house, I can see her through the storm door, the screen door as I come in. If I have the main door open, and it's just the cutest little thing to see her little ears like over the. But where she used to stay there, and I would have to push her away from the
Right.
door. I don't have to do that anymore. Now I come up, she sees me coming towards the door, and she runs, deeper into the house. I
She allows you to
aside
come in now and she's not trying to get out instead.
Right, like, I don't have to,
Okay.
like, fight her as I'm trying to come in the house,
You could
so and
say
she
it. I
really
don't punt her across the living room
I
so I
don't,
can come in.
I don't. For the record, I have never punted her across the living room, although,
Kidding.
she she has met my foot accidentally,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
but no, like,
No, but
she
it
really
is.
hasn't
And
tried to
so
get
she
out in
could
a
have
long time.
had a sibling outside for all you know, or even a friend, a cat friend,
Yeah.
and as the time goes on, that bond, because they've been separated and the odors have kind of been
Well,
forgotten.
also, luckily, I live in a very different area from where she was basically rescued from.
Right.
So it's a little different. So there's really nothing outside of my house that's familiar to her
Okay.
from when she was indoor outdoor. So that's all. It's all,
She
yeah.
doesn't want to get outside. And again, it has
No, she's got
everything
it
to do
good
with
in
the
here. She's really
individual.
got it good in here. She's got food. She's got love. She's got warmth. She's got comfy beds. Anything she could
It's a good
possibly want, she's
life.
got in here.
You don't want to
Right.
leave it.
Another question I had,
Mhm.
you've mentioned a few times, you said on the last episode that where we are on Long Island, we have the benefit of having fewer predators than
Mm.
other areas. Am I
You
correct?
were in, I guess, number.
Does that help this plan of be cool when they'll come back on their own?
Fuck
Does
yeah.
that increase the
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, it's 100%. Those are the things that are out of our control. And listen, I just watched a video this morning and I was blown away. A cat, and it was probably California because for some reason they get all the coyote shit on video. But a cat fighting off 3 coyote. I was blown
Oh my
away.
gosh.
Blown away. A few weeks
Wow.
ago, I saw a video of a raccoon fighting off 5. And then I've seen cats or small dogs succumb to 1 coyote or 1 bobcat. So again, it's on an individual basis. And I'll use the comparison of me and my sister. If you put the two of us in a dark alley alone and there are a handful of dudes coming at us in an aggressive manner, I'm going to take out the Louisville Slugger. My sister's going to crawl into a dark corner and pray that she's not seen. It's
we should have had her on the show.
personality. What?
We should have invited her to join us. We have time. Send her a text.
Let me call her. But it's personality. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I will defend and she will hide. So fewer predators, more predators. I try and explain to people with regards to cats, like coyotes can kind of get up a tree a little bit, but they can't climb a tree. Cats can
Yeah.
climb a tree.
Yeah.
Remember, they're resourceful. So it depends on the situation. How much will to fight does the individual animal have? It doesn't matter how many predators are anywhere. It's the individual animal and their will to survive that has more to do with it than anything else.
These have been extremely helpful. Helpful points. Really,
Good.
none of this occurred to me. I cannot thank you enough. We always have a good time. I know Michelle's trying to get me out of the house more, but one of these days we'll go with you on one of your missions.
Well, that would
You
be
keep
awesome.
threatening that we're going to do stuff, but,
That would be awesome, for real.
Now it's cold or my foot hurts or there's always an excuse, but
Listen to me.
we
The
will.
cold is not fun. Like, my body hurts working in these temperatures. This is not
If we
pleasant.
find a day where it's like 72 degrees and 50% humidity
all right. So
and
June 23rd.
no
That sounds
clouds
My
in the
chocolate head
sky,
goes missing then. Okay, so we can.
and I could take my Diet Coke with me. Under those circumstances, I'll
Not that
probably
we
go with
ever
you on
hope
one of your.
pets go missing, by the way.
right. Right.
But if they do, how do they find you? What's the best way
Well,
to find you?
just call Kelly 6 or 5678.
That could be the name. Just call Kelly.
There you go.
That could be the name.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. You
I
said
kind
it
of
a
like
couple
it.
times, and it popped in my head. Just call
Just call
Kelly.
Kelly. Just call Kelly.
But you're also on Facebook and
Facebook
Instagram,
and,
so people could find you
website,
there.
professional pet trackers. But truth, the best way to get me, text me. I may not be able to pick up a call. I may not be able to get on Messenger. And I certainly do not, even though I wish I could, I can't pay attention to every time I'm tagged on Facebook because it's insane.
Except when we do,
Different story.
because it's us. So
Different.
don't ever ignore us. Just saying.
But text me. It's the best. It's the quickest. And I can respond. If I break my dogs while I'm working, I could look at the phone, quick send a text. Best way to get me.
Kelly, you're the best. We love you. We love your dogs.
I love you
I love
guys.
seeing.
Yeah. It's
We
been great.
love seeing them. But you make a traumatic experience fun. You. I think that's so important in those situations to just
Decompress.
Yeah.
Important.
to not lose yourself and not lose your cool. Come here, Tay. My old man's here. Just breathe and it will be okay. So Kelly,
It's the
thank
most
you.
important. You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
Anytime you
Always.
want to come on and have a beer or whatever and rant about a topic that's important to you,
You're really
you're
opening things
welcome.
up on me by saying that,
You
okay?
are you are welcome. You're the best. You're what makes Long Island people good. You just have that.
Thank
I
you.
gravitate to it. That Long Island take no shit
Thank you.
attitude.
I'm
Like,
going to
where
take
were
it as a
you?
compliment.
How come I
It is
didn't
a
know you a few
compliment.
years ago? But honestly, thank you. Very important points. Very valid.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure talking with you. 100%.
And if God forbid anything happens, just call Kelly.
Just call Kelly.
Just call Kelly.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Thank
This
you.
has been episode 54. We'll see you all in the next episode. Bye for now.
Be good.